Big Fish could be a reference to this show's lead star, Kelsey Grammer, who is a big fish in a small pond in this off-West End production of the story made famous by the Tim Burton film in 2003. Tim Burton's surrealist film emerged from Daniel Wallace's 1998 novel, Big Fish, which also landed a brief stint on Broadway in 2013. Writer John August's London version of the story is much the same as its predecessors. Edward Bloom is a traveling salesman who tells tall tales to his son, Will, in his spare time. Edward's grand stories involve giants, mermaids and circuses. But as Edward's health worsens, and Will grows old enough to question his father, Wallace's tale matures into a father-son relationship study, a set of surrealist tales which take the viewer in and out of an imagined reality. Hollywood veteran Kelsey is a warm and commanding presence as Edward Bloom, as good at the gags and the acting as the show's musical numbers. He can hold a note, as well as dance a bit. The Frasier star is an exuberant watch with a classical Hollywood touch that'll feel familiar for fans of Burton's shimmering film version. However, Big Fish never finds its musical feet due to a bland score, which has no rewarding musical moments. You'll be singing on the tube home. EastEnders actor-cum-theater director Nigel Harman has made less of a convincing job switching the staging up, insisting the show be set entirely in Bloom's hospital room as his health worsens. Cue fantasy scenes of Bloom's tall tales recounted with the backdrop of a hospital setting as actor Jamie Muscato, who plays a young Bloom, hops about meeting witches, giants and circus characters. The hospital set's persistence, as Bloom recounts his youthful tales and fantasy experiences, is jarring given the story's wildly surreal feel. The set also lends no favors to the other palace's space, which is neither big enough for the spectacle the show deserves, nor small enough to make an intimate and heartfelt fringe reimagining of Big Fish. There's the feeling that a troupe like Theatre Company 1927 could have spent a small sum and conveyed these tales with more of a creative spectacle in a 100-person venue, with handmade props and models, than set designer Tom Rogers has here. Scenes rely heavily on visual projections, rather than physical props, to convey effect, which displaces the rather good acting and instead of making scenes feel surreal, sometimes removes their magic and makes them feel cheap, almost like pantomime. To get to its rawest sentiments, Daniel Wallace's Big Fish requires the viewer's imagination. Either that, or Tim Burton's big budget to play with. Its giant stories are the show's real heart, not its thinning plotline really. Edward and Will Bloom's father-son relationship is the message we needn't see, but rather, have in the back of our minds as the show's imaginative turns take center stage. Admittedly a feat to stage, Big Fish the Broadway version fell short, and there's very little of the creative essence Wallace would have intended on show here either. More Wicked's Rachel Tucker leads host of West End Stars in bid to make theater more accessible for the disabled. More how to get tickets for Hamilton as production announces new standings tickets will be available.